Hey, what's up guys? Back again with another video in the Java series. This episode I'm going to teach you how to use two parameter generic classes.
Something strange in your neighborhood. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! If there's something weird and it don't look good, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters!
Okay guys, so now that we know how to do the basics of generics and all that stuff with classes, I'm going to show you how to use generics, like multiple generics in one class, okay? So basically, before we can use like one type parameter, which is like, you give a parameter for your class and then you could use that for anything you want to use it for. So then you could choose what type an object is or whatever. I'm so bad at explaining. But this time we're going to use two of them, okay? And you can use as many as you want pretty much. You can use 3, 4, whatever you want to do. But yeah, so anyway, let's just go ahead and make a class here. We'll call it class flower, because flowers are cool, dude. Like, wow. So yeah, so of course if we want to give it a generic type parameter or whatever, we have to put that right here. And so we can give it a name of whatever you want. I'm gonna just call it A. But then if you want to add another one, you put a comma and then put the name of the second one. So A, comma B. So now we have two type parameters that we can use in our program, our class, okay? So that's pretty cool. So we can go ahead and make two objects or two variables for these type parameters, okay? So let's do that. So it's object to variable 1, and then B, object variable 2, okay? Yeah, so remember whenever using generics, just remember that the type parameter, the type parameter here is associated with an object, not a primitive type, okay? So that's why it's called object variable 1, okay? You can call it whatever you want, but I just want you to know that, okay? So yeah, so the cool thing that we can do is actually make a constructor using both parameters, okay? So that's kind of cool. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we declare a constructor by doing public flower, and then we could do A objective variable 1 and then B, or object, not objective, and then B object variable 2. So now we're using both type parameters inside of our constructor now. So that's pretty cool, right? So yeah, so then we could do this dot object variable 1 is equal to object variable 1, and then this 2 equals object variable 2. Pretty simple, right? So yeah, now that we did that, we can also make our getters and our setters like always, So let's go ahead and do that. So there we go. We have all 4 of our getters and setters. So there we go. So let's go and actually make a object now for this flower class. Okay. So flower, and then we could say the first one we could declare it as a string. So that'll be the first type. And then the second one we could say integer, keep it simple, we'll just have string and integer. Okay, so now that we declared what the types are, we can actually go ahead and give it a name. So flower1 is equal to new flower, and then we can say something like string, and oh wait, no, we have to repeat it obviously, so we can't just so yeah, string flat and integer. And of course we need a constructor here because that's what we have up here, so we have to pass it some parameters. And yeah, oh, that's why I put that in there by accident. So string integer. There you go. That's better. So yeah, so now we can pass it some value. So we'll do Cody is cool because I'm so cool, and then 45. Okay. So there we go. So now we passed its parameters. That's grayed out because the parameters are now. Well, it doesn't actually need this because the parameters are. It can tell what type the parameters are. So that's why it doesn't need this. But it's important to have this, especially if there's no constructor parameters here, right? But anyway, just keep it there anyway, just as like a safety, whatever you want to do. But I recommend it, okay? So, of course, we can make, or we can print out the values of, flower1 variables. So get object1, and then output flower1 dot get object2. Okay, cool. So let's do that. Oh, I did the wrong thing here. Get object. Let's fix this. There we go. So let's restart this thingy here. Okay, cool. So it says Cody is cool and then 45 because that's what we set it to be. And then of course we can also set the variables with our setters, of course. So flower1 dot set object variable 1, and of course object variable 1 is going to be a string because that's what we set it to be right here, remember? So we'll set it to be wow, something like that, right? And then we'll do flower 1 dot set object variable 2, and we'll set it to any variable, any number, because that we set it to be an integer, of course. So we'll say something like that, whatever you want to do, and then yeah, so we can do output. You can output these two. We'll just copy the output from up here because we're lazy, and boom. Okay, so we can print out that, see what happens. Awesome. So it works basically. This is a very simple program, but now as you can see, we can use multiple type parameters up here. Okay, so awesome, right? So, and also don't forget, we can also do constructors here. This is how you work with constructors within this kind of stuff so far. But yeah, guys, if you liked the video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And if you have any questions at all, just leave a comment and I'll help you. And don't forget, we have a Discord that's in the description. If you want to join that, go ahead and join it. Hang out with me, whatever you want to do. Ask questions, talk with me about programming, anything you want to do, right? What else? Also, look in the description. We have this link here. This link will provide all of the code from today's episode, okay? So make sure you bookmark it, save it, whatever you want to do, because sometimes you forget code, sometimes I forget code. And yeah, so anyway, if you liked the video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe, and peace.